Karen insists that I purchase her plane ticket. Am I the jerk for refusing to pay for my girlfriend's plane ticket after she decided to stay longer on her trip without me? So here's the deal. I'm a 28-year-old male, and my girlfriend, who's 27, of 2 years. We planned a 2-week vacation to Italy together. I paid for the flights, hotels, everything because I make more money than she does, and I wanted it to be a stress-free trip for both of us. Everything was great until the last day when she tells me that she wants to stay longer to find herself and think about our relationship without me. She didn't discuss this with me beforehand, and it completely blindsided me. I was hurt, and I told her that if she feels that she needs time alone, then she should also be independent financially during this extension of her trip. I said I wouldn't be paying for her new return ticket whenever she decides to come back. Now she's upset, calling me unsupportive and selfish. And some of our friends are saying I'm being a jerk because I left her stranded in a foreign country without financial help. So, Reddit, am I the jerk for refusing to pay for her new plane ticket home after she chose to extend her trip without a heads up? Update. Thank you to everyone who responded, especially those who gave me some outside verification that I'm probably not being the jerk. I don't feel comfortable saying that I'm completely blameless here because you're only getting one side of the story, and I need to take responsibility for my part in this whole thing as it is. But I guess I never realized how good my girlfriend was at making me feel like unreasonable crap was normal and rational, and that I was the crazy one. So, here's the update. We're both back in America now, and she's packing her stuff to go stay with her family for a bit until she can find a new place. Soon after I posted, it was time to go to the airport, so I did, without her. I'm one of those people who arrives really early because I never think I'll get to the gate on time because everything that could go wrong probably will. I didn't want to push it. I was there for about an hour by myself, mulling things over and talking to my mom. I looked at a couple of responses to this post, but I didn't trust that I wouldn't lose it if I started responding, and I definitely didn't want to burst into tears while I was in the airport. As I was talking to my mom, my girlfriend showed up. I thought that she thought I was bluffing but had a rude awakening when the hotel staff kicked her out of the room because I had only paid for that day. I took no small amount of satisfaction in this. She'd been so concerned about the plane ticket that she didn't even stop to think about where she was going to stay. As many of you guessed, she met someone while we were in Italy. She was quick to tell me that it was just a physical attraction and that they hadn't done anything, but she had gotten his contact info and was going to see if it would go anywhere. I guess that's what I get for not feeling well and wanting to stay in one night while she went out to explore. Obviously, I told her things were over between us, even though she tried to make it sound like nothing had happened. The fact was, A, I couldn't feel like I could trust her when she said that, and B, I don't really want to be with someone who feels like it's okay to still keep her options open when she's been in a monogamous relationship. For the past 2 years, the flight home was really awkward, and she tried really hard to give another pitch for why we should stay together on the drive home from the airport. I think as we got closer to home, reality started setting in, and she realized she had just thrown away a lot. So yeah, I'm jet-lagged and physically and emotionally exhausted. I'm just kind of numb at this point. Not the jerk. She can find herself on her own. She was upset, calling you unsupportive and selfish. You were supportive and unselfish. You didn't complain or become difficult. You respected her decision to stay and find herself. Supportive does not necessarily mean you have to pay for her choices. And no, you didn't strand her in a foreign country without help. It was her decision to stay behind. All you did was respect her decision. However, it was not your obligation to fund her decision. She's a grown woman, which means she's responsible for her choices and her financial independence. You invited her on a couple's trip. Well, the trip is over, and if she decides to stay on her own, then she can pay for it. Has she always been this manipulative before? Red flag. I, 20-year-old male, am not comfortable with my girlfriend's living situation, and I'm not sure how to bring it up to her. I, 20, male, am visiting my girlfriend, who's 19, for spring break. This is the first time I visited her this year as we both go to colleges that are across the country from each other. I've met her 2 roommates briefly when we FaceTime, and they all seem nice and enjoy similar things as her. They had met each other through social media and had been talking for a while and had planned to live together, so they're all pretty close. Her dorm is apartment style, includes a living room and dining area. When she was giving me a tour, I saw that there were 4 bedrooms. I know she and her 2 other roommates all have a room, but I didn't know who the 4th room was for. When I asked her, she said that that room wasn't important and laughed with her roommates. The first night after having dinner, the 4 of us were hanging out in the living room area, and the door opened when another girl walked in. She seemed surprised to see me and walked right into the 4th bedroom. My girlfriend and her roommate started to laugh, and after they were done, they told me that was their other roommate. I was super confused because anytime I've talked with my girlfriend, The only other people who talk were the other two girls. My girlfriend even sent pictures of the bathrooms, living room, and kitchen after the three of them decorated it for themselves. My girlfriend and her roommates then told me that because they went into the dorms as a group of three, they ended up with a random roommate. The entire time, they never said her name and just called her random roommate while laughing. At one point, the girl came out to fill her water bottle, and my girlfriend and the other two stopped mid-conversation and just stared like a hawk at her until she went back into her room. After she did, they resumed talking and laughing. The girl didn't come out for the rest of the night. Before we went to bed, I asked my girlfriend more about her other roommate and why they all act like that. At first, she was confused, but then said that the girl is really nice, she's just not like them. She said that in the beginning of the year, the girl was really talkative towards them and friendly. But the other two girls did some stuff, and now she just goes to her room all the time. She said that she says hi to her sometimes when she's getting ready for class, but that's it. She said that she was just different from them, and not all roommates have to get along. I asked if she knew I was coming and staying for a week, and she said no, but she'd be fine with it. The past 3 days I've been here, I've noticed that while my girlfriend and her roommates all hang out in the living room, the other girl stays in her room and only comes out when she leaves. My girlfriend gave me a more in-depth tour, and the girl gets one door shelf in the fridge and half a drawer cabinet in their kitchen. The rest is used by the other girls. I asked why she doesn't have more space, and my girlfriend just shrugged. I'm not sure why, but I just feel really soured about this entire thing. My girlfriend has never been a mean girl, but something about this just makes me uncomfortable. On one hand, I'm really happy my girlfriend was lucky enough to have roommates she gets along with and that are her friends, but on the other hand, I feel bad for her other roommate. I don't know if I'm just overthinking this. How do I bring this up to my girlfriend, or should I just leave it alone? Update: shortly after I posted and read through your comments, I realized this relationship was about to end. A lot of you brought up great points, and I just couldn't justify staying with a person who acts like this. That night we all went out to a couple of parties, and seeing her act just kind of reinforced my previous thoughts. Her and her friends were just so rude. I don't mean flat out. They actually were pretty fun and nice to a bunch of people, but the three of them just had no regard for everyone else except for them. It was like they had no awareness of their surroundings and didn't even care. Towards the end of the night, I was so upset about everything that I asked my girlfriend if we could head back early. She said yes, and we split up from the other two girls. When we got back to her place and got ready for bed, I brought up her two roommates and just lightly spoke about everything on my mind. She fully admitted that she knew those two girls were rude and literally called them horrible jerks, but there was nothing she could do because they all lived together. I brought up that she willingly signed a lease to move in with them in an apartment next year, and if she didn't like them, why did she always entertain them? She said that she didn't know what to say and just kind of shrugged it off. I then asked about her other roommate and found out what the other two girls did. Apparently, when the three of them went out, the girl made her dinner and ate in their living room while watching a movie. When they came back and saw her, one of the two walked into the living room, unplugged the TV in the middle of her movie and said, "You did not pay for this. This is not yours. Do not touch," while the other girl took the remote and laughed. The TV belonged to one of the roommates who brought it from her room at home. The apps on it were all split between the roommates, and I think one of the accounts belonged to the girl. So my girlfriend and the other girl also didn't pay for the TV. I was shocked. That is legit mean girl stuff that you see in movies. When I asked my girlfriend what she did, she said she did nothing, and in the moment laughed because she was embarrassed for her, and that's just what she does when she's uncomfortable, which is true. My girlfriend passed out after that, and I spent a little bit packing my stuff and preparing for what I was going to tell her. The next morning, I straight up told her that I really don't see a future with her. I said that she has become a bully, and I don't want to be with someone who surrounds herself with people that are horrible people. She became defensive and said that she's never done anything bad and it's the other two girls. I told her that by now she's an adult and had many choices to not partake in their bullying. But she's chosen to, and stuck up for them. She got very emotional and then became angry and told me to leave. I got an Uber and headed to the airport, and when I got back to my place, she had texted me and asked if this was a break while I figured out what I wanted or if it was definite. I restated what I told her and said that I hope she figures out who she is, and I wish her well. I think she blocked me after that. I haven't heard from her since. I did hear from my friend's girlfriend, who is friendly with her, and on her private stories that their room got busted for having alcohol, which is banned in the dorms. And all four of them have to have a meeting with their RA and dorm director proving their innocence. I think this gives the fourth girl an opportunity to tell them about her living situation, but I don't think I'll ever know. Anyways, thanks for the advice. I know it wasn't much, but I definitely appreciate it. Am I the jerk for refusing to support my sister after dad told her he regrets being her dad? I, 28 female, have 2 siblings, Jake, who's 34, and Donna, who's 32. When Donna was 10, dad found out mom had cheated on him, and Donna was not his child, which confirmed this. Our parents divorced, but nothing changed with dad and Donna. He still treated her the same, but he also told her if she ever wanted to know her biological father, he would love, support, and help her in that journey too. When Donna was 20, she asked dad for help finding her biological father. He paid for the DNA test and other expenses, including travel. When she found him, he paid for therapy. He held her hand throughout. He told me and Jake that this changed nothing, and he told us to support our sister because he was worried we wouldn't like her finding the guy. Donna chose not to stay in touch with her biological father at that time. 3 years after this, Donna started a relationship back up with her biological dad but told nobody for 2 years. The first we learned about it was when Donna got engaged and she invited the guy to an engagement party. During the engagement party, she introduced her biological dad as her real dad to people. Dad took it in stride and said it was sometimes hard to find the words. Donna asked dad if he would pay for her biological father's hotel room for an extra night because he could only afford that one night, and she wanted to see him a little longer, and dad did this for her. When she got married, she asked dad to pay, and he did. Then she had her biological father walk her down the aisle and only mention him in her toast. Dad was so heartbroken. She also refused to take a photo with just dad and us without her real dad in it. Then she got mad that dad asked for it. She called him out for it after the wedding. Then 2 years ago, she refused to take part in dad's 60th birthday because it wasn't fair to her real dad. She also announced that she was expecting a baby and didn't want to confuse her kid about who their real grandpa was, so she wasn't going to pretend dad was her dad any longer. She also announced her real dad had adopted her, so she was no longer legally dad's kid anyway. She didn't try to include dad in her baby's life at all. But now her real dad has let her down, and she went crying back to dad and said she wanted him to be in her life again. She wanted him to reassure her that nothing was wrong, etc., and dad refused. She told him he shouldn't reject his grandchild, and he said he never rejected his grandchild, but she made it clear he didn't have one. She said it wasn't fair, and he promised nothing had changed. He said he wished he hadn't done any of it. He wished he had left her to her real dad since he meant nothing to her clearly. She went to Jake, who told her that she got what she deserved. Then she turned to me. I didn't say that, but I told her I wanted no part of her pity party and would not support her after what she had done to dad. She told me we had always been close, and it was so cold and cruel to reject supporting her when she needs it the most. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. Jerk? You should send her this post so she can see just how royally she has messed up. If she was 16 to 21, I may have given her a pass, but she's a grown woman who chose to stomp all over the heart of the one man who has stood by her throughout this whole mess your mother created. Not the jerk. She got what she deserved, and I don't know what people say, but I hope she feels the emotional pain she caused to you and your family. I really feel for your dad, and I can't imagine how hurt he must be after raising her like his own kid despite knowing that she wasn't his. Your sister not only betrayed your father in favor of her biological father, she milked him for money first. She is a despicable person. She probably expects an inheritance when your father passes too, not the jerk. Am I the jerk for telling my friend to take her kids and leave? I, 27 female, have known my best friend, let's call her Stella, since we were teenagers. She got married at 23, and by all accounts, marriage is great. Her husband is a great guy, and they now have 2 kids who are 2 and 6 months old. I've been a part of their lives, babysat for them on multiple occasions, and love them all dearly. Fast forward to 2 nights ago. I had a bunch of people over for dinner. My fiancé and I just moved into a new apartment, and we plan to get married at the end of the year, and we both mutually agreed from the start that we don't want kids. Not that we're against them for others, it's just our choice, and isn't what we want. Stella insisted on bringing both of her kids for dinner, even though there was going to be alcohol and adult chatting going on. I cautioned against it, but since they couldn't get a sitter, I folded and said they could hang out in the spare bedroom. Evening was going well until it basically became a babysitting party. We needed to keep the music and chatter down so her kids could sleep, being insensitive to them, etc., having to Uber Eats kid-friendly food so they didn't go hungry. I snapped when her 2-year-old spilled dip all over our new rug. And this is where I might be the jerk. Kind of ruined the whole vibe, but it just felt like enough was enough. She started out with the whole, you could never understand because you don't have kids. And I reminded her that it's mine and my partner's choice to not have kids. It doesn't mean I have to deal with it and pay to get the rug cleaned ourselves because she's insisting she shouldn't have to chip in. A few people chimed in, though, to say that they're just kids, and it's not their fault. But I'm now paying dry cleaning for a rug, and the whole group is really divided. Am I the jerk for how I reacted? Edit, just to update, the Uber Eats I paid for was a few kid-friendly items like pasta and fruits, which I was happy to pay for. It wasn't until the rug and dip spill that I felt like losing my cool. I know I could have reacted better, but it honestly felt like too much. My mom stole $8,000 from me and opened credit cards in my name. Plus updates, I haven't talked to my mom for a little over 1 year now, but this is the story of my mom's lies. Growing up, my mom was always in and out of jail for stealing. The last time she was arrested was in 2015. I was 19 at that time. She always said she stole to provide for our family, but we never lived in a stable home. She would just blow money on expensive gifts and tell us we aren't poor. We have this. How many poor kids have this? As we lived from hotel to hotel. Growing up, I became the financially responsible kid. I worked multiple jobs, got good grades, and did community service. I was able to save up $8,500 for college with multiple scholarships during my hard work in high school. I also helped my mom with bills and paying for whatever she needed help with. When I left for college, she was arrested again and had to be dropped off states away by my aunt from my first day of college. I asked my mom for my college money, and she said she would transfer the money when she got out. When she got out, it all magically disappeared. She blamed my dead grandmother for stealing my money. In 2019, I discovered multiple credit cards and apartment late on bills that were opened in my name. I cried to my mom about all these issues, and she comforted me and asked for more money. I gave her more money. I graduated with my BA and went to grad school. I was able to be in grad school for 1 year with my savings before I needed to take grad plus loans out. I applied, but was denied due to all of the negative items on my credit score. My mom told me to just pay it off. I didn't. I dropped out instead. I was devastated, but I wasn't going to pay for other people's fun rides. I called all the credit companies and got the address for all the credit cards. It was my mom's address. When confronted, she broke down, saying it was my grandmother, and how dare I blame her for this. She demanded an apology and didn't speak to me for a week. My grandmother passed before all of the credit cards were opened. I filed a police report against my mother. She doesn't know yet, but when she finds out, I'm sure I will receive the best kind of text message. We stopped talking for another reason. Edit, for all the comments, I have not spoken to my mother for almost 2 years now. She's been blocked on everything. The reason we don't talk is in a previous post I made about how happy I am my boyfriend ruined my relationship with her. To the comments asking about why I kept giving her money, it was hard. It was either help with the bills or have no electricity, water, gas, or roof over mine and my brother's heads. I didn't want to be homeless again, and I didn't want my brother to suffer either. I felt like I needed to help my family because for so long I had the mentality that blood was thicker than water. I also now know that it isn't my responsibility. I was just young, and I thought I was doing the best I could to provide for my family from the ages of 16 to 23. I'm 26 now. Credit stuff. I've gotten a good amount taken off. Only 2 cards and 1 bill are on my credit score. Thank you for all of your support and kindness. Edit 2. I am a ball of rage. I had recently unfrozen my credit card account to apply for a care credit to get an emergency surgery done. Not even 2 months of unfreezing my credit, my mom applied for a new credit card in my name. I'm done. I always had a piece of me that didn't want to press charges or push for it because it was rough times in our lives and I knew she was struggling to raise us. But now I see no excuse other than she just doesn't want the responsibility of living within her means. It's been 2 to 3 years of no contact. I would like to say forget you to Chase Bank. The card was being opened with them, and when I called to let them know it wasn't me, they told me they will see if they can close the account, but need a police report first. I asked for the address to confirm it was my mom. They kept denying my request for the address. I only got it confirmed after I told the operator, if I guessed the darn address, would you just give me a yes or no? He agreed. And it was my mom's address. I'm away for surgery for a while, but when I get back home, I'm going to the police and requesting to speak with a prosecutor. I'm done. I'm hurt and done. I did my best to raise my credit score to where it is now. I did my best to work multiple jobs to help with the bills. I did my best to be her emotional support no matter how bad she treated me. I feel like this next step will be cutting this one string I left connected to her out of sympathy, and of course, it led to me being taken advantage of again. I hope to give an update on if the courts will be on my side. Edit, I'm sadly states away for this surgery, which is why I'm waiting until the surgery is over and I'm back home recovering. I don't know if I can file this police report in the state I am in, and it still be effective in the state I live in. I know jurisdiction can be a problem. Edit 2. Thank you for the advice. I'll be pressing charges right away. My boyfriend isn't an attorney but doesn't work in the public area. I do have friends from my law school days that actually work in our country's prosecutor's office, so I may reach out to them for some advice. They just passed the bar and are slowly getting into the routine. I also don't like to bring this up much to passive friends because it's just so embarrassing. My mom and I haven't spoken in almost 2 to 3 years. It feels so long ago. I really don't know the timeline. Questions: why haven't I pushed for charges before, and why do I keep letting this happen? I really don't know if many will understand, but I've been conditioned to fear my mom from a young age. She would punish me for not acting, speaking, or thinking a certain way. If she thought I had a negative thought about her, I was punished. I had to beg and cry and comfort her that it wasn't true. After it was over, I would have to hold my mom and comfort her through the tears. The fear has also been real even after cutting contact. It has stopped, thankfully, but I've been afraid that if I make this move, it will start again. What do I mean? She threatened to get my boyfriend and friends expelled from law school if they kept associating with me. We had to call the school and have a talk about my mom. She then threatened to report me to the IRS for tax fraud, but I always paid my taxes. She sent messages to my workplace. When I was a kid, I'd be in the back seat as she drove past people's houses whom she hated over and over to see what they were doing. That fear that she could find where I live and do this made my stomach turn. I was afraid to push for these charges in the past because I wanted to leave it behind and continue the peace I was living. She stopped. I removed all those nasty things on my credit, and I was happy until now. I know it will never stop. After 4 years of not opening anything in my name, she went back to it. So I'm putting my foot down and taking this step. I understand I should have pushed more earlier. I was scared and naive, but I'm going to stop it today. Last update until I get back home, I called my local police department back home, saying I have an update for the identity theft report I reported in 2021. They transferred me over to the detective's office and said I would need to come in to make another report. I told them I'm currently waiting to finish a surgical procedure and will not be back home for a few days. They said it was fine, so at this time I will not be able to make the report until I get back home. But I'm also happy because they said I can talk to the detective when I come in to file the other report. So I hope you'll be making a part 4 by the end of next month with some good news. Update 3, well, it's been a mix of emotions the past few days. My surgery went well, and my recovery should be complete by next week. I feel really good, too. I got cancer. Didn't expect this one. Skin cancer, which is super easy to treat and to prevent if I keep up with the doctor appointments. I got this weird wart removed, got a call right before I go into surgery saying it was cancer, and I would need to come in for some more testing and body check. I would like to thank my mom for having me in tanning beds at 13. She said I was super pale, and I believed her. She also didn't want people to think we didn't travel for spring break, so all spring break I would be in a tanning bed to look like we traveled. Wear sunscreen, kids. 3. I got a puppy. 4. I went to the police today and filed a report. Spoke to a detective too. I gave them mine and my mother's information. They asked if I would like to press criminal charges, and I said yes. They're going to call the credit card company to pull the report, and if Chase Bank gives them the report without a subpoena, then we will have an easy charge in closing of the case. If Chase Bank wants a subpoena, then it will take longer to close this. I'm super happy I finally did this, and to hear that they may actually have charges to press against her. So once I have more of an update, I'll post again, but it looks like it may be a couple of months before we get somewhere. Also, I did talk with my brother. He knows and is aware of the situation. He doesn't seem to care about his credit, but he's also still young. I'm sure he will understand soon, and hopefully get his taken care of. Update: police called to let me know they will be going to see her today or Tuesday to talk about the theft. If she admits to it, then we will have an easy case. I told them on the phone she won't admit to stealing, she would just blame someone else. The detective wanted to know if she had a drug problem. I told him no, she just can't live within her means. If I get a call back that she has been arrested, I will let you know. Update 4, I got a call this morning from the detective. He wanted to hear my side of the story again. I told him my mom's history with theft. I told him I filed once in 2021, and nothing ever happened. How I found this inquiry, and how she did it the moment I unfroze my credit. He asked what did I want him to do. I told him I would like charges. He asked if he goes to her place, will she admit to this crime? I told him no. When I confronted her about it, she blamed my grandmother. Apparently, the woman had powers beyond the grave to open these cards in my name. He said he'll be going down today to interrogate her. If she admits to it, she will be booked right there. If she doesn't, they will just need the Chase credit report. I'm planning to go to Chase to grab the report and hand it to them myself tomorrow. I asked if she would know our address. He said if we go to court, my address would be submitted as evidence against the identity theft, so she would know where I lived. Thank goodness we're renting right now. So we agreed if we go to court, we will see how long her sentence is and plan to move out before she's released. We know she will serve time because this is her 4th time, and the judge will have no sympathy on a mom doing this to her daughter. Max punishment in the US is 15 years, but she always takes the plea deal, so I can see her serving either a couple of months or a year. It's been a couple of hours and my stomach feels like it's doing flips. My head is so dizzy. The air feels so much heavier. I feel sick. I've been waiting by my phone for a call, an update, something. Did she admit it? Is she booked? What's happening next? The detective then gave me the report number and I called Chase Bank. Chase apparently hadn't processed the application, but after my call, it was put on hold until further investigation. With my report, I was able to have it denied and removed from my credit score, so I have confidence I can go into the bank tomorrow and snag that report. I apologize for any grammar mistakes. I feel so lightheaded. I'm on edge right now. I'll update again once I've heard back from the police. Update 5, so this may not be the update everyone wanted to hear. I didn't get justice. She hasn't been arrested and no charges at this time. I still do have a police report, but I'm not going to push the police to go and make an arrest. This update is just more information I've recently discovered. More context, it wasn't just always my mom, brother, and I. When I was born, I shared a small 3-bedroom apartment with my grandmother, her husband, my aunt, and in high school, my mom, me. And then my little brother followed. My aunt went no contact with the family in her later 22nd, and I never knew why. It hurt to lose someone I was close with. I heard horrible rumors of things my aunt was doing from my mom, and my mom would also let me know awful things my aunt was saying about me. My aunt was on and off in my life after this no contact. Well, fast forward to the present, I reached out to my aunt to meet her. We talked and got everything cleared. My mom stole my aunt and her father's identity. My aunt had a lot of debt she didn't know about, and when she found out it was my mom, she pressed charges. This was the 2nd time she was arrested. My aunt's husband, who was a cop, arrested her. I knew he couldn't stand my mom, but never knew why. My aunt then gave me a list of family members whose identities she also stole, and everyone in the family knew it would happen to me and my brother. The issue was, how were we going to stop her? She was our mom. My aunt told me she wished my mom would have given us up so my brother and I could have lived with her and had a normal life. I don't know why, but those words broke me so much to know I had family that knew we were being treated like this but couldn't do much to help us. To know they wanted to save me and my brother. My aunt then proceeded to tell me my father tried to go to court to have my social security number changed and locked until I was 18. This way my mom couldn't steal my identity. It obviously didn't work, and here I am. She told me how happy and proud she was of me. She told me she struggled when she went no contact because she felt like she left her babies behind, and she was afraid of how we would turn out. I love my aunt, and I'm so happy I reached out. I'm even more angry with my mom, how badly she isolated us into her own delusional world, and in the end, destroyed our relationship. I told my aunt I didn't care that we struggled in poverty. I don't blame her for that. I blame her for how she handled it and put so much pressure on 2 kids to become billionaires for her to continue her reckless spending.